Hello and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Mattel Jurassic World Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This figure is a repaint of the previously released Velociraptor figure that I reviewed back in October. And if you guys saw that review, then you know that I wasn't particularly thrilled with that figure. There were some things I really liked about it, but there were some things I really didn't like about it either. So it'll be interesting to see how Blue holds up when compared to that previous Velociraptor figure. Now the packaging here is the same as we got in that previous Raptor. It's a pretty large box where you have the figure in there, and you can see it quite well, so it doesn't come with any accessories or anything. The packaging has that amber theme to it. I think it looks pretty cool, and I do like that they're playing up a pretty significant part of the Jurassic Park story. Of course, you can see inside the box, you can see what you get. So it's a figure, there's a display base, and it looks like that's about it. At the back, it says, named for her unique colored markings, Velociraptor Blue is the last of her pack left on Isla Nublar. Not only do her size and intellect set her apart, but her ability to experience empathy enables her to develop a close connection with Owen Grady. So much so that she risks her life in order to protect him from harm. I'm going to take a little bit, get this figure unboxed, and when we come back, we will take a closer look at Velociraptor Blue. Alright you guys, so here's Blue out of the packaging, and I've got to say, this is a very, very nice looking figure. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the Jurassic Park Raptor. I felt like it felt really short in terms of the paint scheme. A lot of you guys said I was too critical of that figure, but for a line that is marketed towards adults, that is said to be a collector line, I kind of felt like for the $30 price point, it really did fall short. I felt like it was kind of sloppy in terms of paint and should have been a little bit better in some aspects. This is different. This actually looks so much better than that previous figure. We're still not at a place where, I can say it's an amazingly perfect figure, but we're going to get to all that. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about, the pros and cons of this figure, where it falls short, where it excels. But just on the surface, first impressions are that it looks really, really good. Taking a look here at the head sculpt. Now, one of the things that really benefits this figure is that this sculpt is actually based off Velociraptor Blue. With the previous Velociraptor, they used the same sculpt that was meant for Blue, but they painted it in Jurassic Park color. So it kind of wasn't, it's kind of weird. It was kind of like a pre-paint, if you will. This was sculpted to be blue and they painted it to be blue. So by default, it's going to look better than that Jurassic Park Raptor did. Now, we still have that problem where the mouth doesn't close all the way. And like with before, it actually closes a little bit more on the right side than it does on its left side. So I'm having the same issue I had before where the jaw was kind of like a little off center, but you can in fact open it. I think what really stands out to me on this figure is the eye. The eye looks amazing. It has that metallic sort of, gold paint. It really brings the figure to life. And I really like how there's this sort of gradient with the paint application, darker back here, gets a little lighter towards the end of the snout. It looks great. It almost looks like she's crying, like just the way they painted it, kind of like in Fallen Kingdom. Obviously on her other side, the stripe doesn't go all the way up to her eye. That is film accurate, and it looks really good. Now the inside of the mouth looks very similar to that previous Raptor. As far as the tissue on the inside, the roof of the mouth looks really nice. It's not just one shade of pink. There's some darker pink. There's some lighter pink into the throat. Very glossy. The tongue looks good. The little cheek fold membranes look nice. But we have the same issue that we had before, which was one of my biggest critiques about, the previous Amber Collection Raptors, that the teeth are just a little too blunt. They're not really segmented properly. They're just kind of they run together on both the top and bottom jaws. And I think that kind of hinders the overall aesthetic of the figure. If they were a little bit more separated, if they were a little pointier, I think it would have been better. If Mattel really wanted to go above and beyond, I think implementing the sort of approach that Rebor does with their Raptors, where they have, that sort of translucent effect to kind of make it look like enamel. I think that would have been really cool. I do think it really hurts the aesthetics a bit of the overall figure. Not to mention, they're all this off-white, yellowy color. There's really nothing. It's not really too different from what you see them doing on the attack packs or the Savage Strikes, the kid, quote unquote, kid line. For a collector line, I feel like they should have stepped up their game in that respect. And I really do like her nostrils. It's actually pretty cute. They look good. And she's got a little bit of bumpiness here on the back of her neck. And you do see a little bit of separation right here where that seam is. That is a little bit annoying. It's not terrible, but it is worth noting. You will also notice that there's a little bit more sculpted detail on her head than there is like here on the neck. But for the most part, she's sculpted okay. The sculpt is a little bit soft. I mean, it's not nearly like what you see like on Papo or on Rebor. I'm not saying it needs to be, but I'm saying that for, the $30 price point, I expected a little bit more from the sculpted detail. It is a little bit soft in terms of, these lines and wrinkles and folds in the skin. Even here on the hands, I mean, that's not bad. And, even like the feet aren't bad, but it is a little bit soft. I kind of feel like, it needed to be a little bit more dimensional, just a little bit more realistic. So in that respect, it still falls a little bit short. Where I feel this figure really sparkles is in the paint scheme. I think the paint application is beautiful on this figure. I just love the way that they did it. I mean, the stripe looks so film accurate, just the way that it was done. I mean, the shades of color I think are extremely film accurate, but I just love how they added that stroke of this lighter silver paint around the blue, which, is obviously what she has in the film. But it just really helps to bring this figure to life. And, it's darker here along her back. It gets a little bit more into this medium sort of gray here on the sides. And then, this more ashy sort of silver on her underside. And that really does a lot for, the overall aesthetic of the figure. Not to mention this pattern that she's got all along her body. It's right here in the neck. It carries onto her arms. It carries into her legs. All the way down onto her toes, actually. That really gives it a whole other element of realism that was totally lacking on that original Amber Collection Raptor. And I think the figure really, really like pops when you look at her. This is awesome. This is really obviously, Mattel's best Velociraptor blue figure they've done, as it should be, in the Amber Collection line. But just the paint application, it's on a whole other level than we've ever seen on a Raptor Blue toy or, compared to that first Raptor. And we will compare them in just a little bit. So in terms of articulation, same thing as on that first one. So I already showed you how the lower jaw opens up. The top jaw actually moves up a little bit as well. So she has this really nice, like wide looking roar. That looks really cool. There is a joint here at the back. You can get a little bit of movement side to side, but it's mainly meant to go up and down. The neck goes up and down. You can rotate it. Here at the shoulders, you have insert molded connection. So she does this thing where she's kind of like going sideways. You can rotate both of her shoulders. Same thing at the elbows. She goes beyond 90 degrees. Same thing here at the wrists. So you can rotate those and rotate the elbows too. Here at the hips, they don't move all that much. It's the same thing that we saw in the last one, but also kind of what they do on the, all the other Jurassic World Mattel toys where, it's not a proper ball joint where it kicks out all the way, but it goes out enough. I don't think it'd be any more realistic for it to move out any more than it does. And, you can swivel it back and forth too. A ball joint here at the knees, and those rotate as well. Same thing here at the ankles. They extend out all the way. You can bend them forward, rotate. Same thing here at the ankles. You can rotate them, and they go forward and back too. So that is really, really nice. And like with that previous Raptor, we also get this posable sickle claw, which I think is a really nice touch. Now here at the tail, you do have another ball joint. So this is cool. You can go up, down, you can rotate it, you can go side to side. And it is a rubbery tail like before, so you can pose it. It does have a wire in it, so you can kind of get a little bit of posing out of it. Unfortunately, like before also, the wire doesn't extend all the way into the end of the tail, so you're not going to do anything here. It's always going to have that little kink to it, which I find a little bit annoying. But other than that, it's a beautifully articulated Raptor. It's a beautiful looking Raptor. I'm really happy with the way this blue turned out. So blue comes with the same base that came with the first Velociraptor. And as I've said before, I feel like the color is a little bit too vibrant yellow and should be a little bit more golden orange. But nonetheless, it works pretty well. So you can see that it has this little knob right there. You can push it back and forth like that. She does have the socket right there on the bottom. So you just stick the figure onto it. And then you can pose it. So you can do kind of this thing where she's like maybe leaping up in the air and she's like going for the attack. I think that is pretty fun option that you can have there. If you want to do it more like maybe she's like running and she's maybe going after her prey, you can do that too. It is nice that, you know, the base supports her in that fashion. But if you just wanted to have her standing up as well, maybe more a neutral pose with her wrists being weirdly pronated like that, you can do that too. So yeah, it's nice. It obviously works a lot better than it did with Owen, in which case it didn't work at all because it didn't fit on the figure. Really nice display option. It's nice that you can stand her without the base, of course, but if you want to have that extra support on your shelf, well, it might not hurt to use the base. All right, so here's our Amber Collection Owen alongside Blue, and you guys know my spiel already. I feel like the Raptors are a little bit too small for this line. I feel like they're more 6-inch scale, whereas figures like Owen are 6.5 inches. So it just seems like they're the Raptors are undersized a little bit, in my opinion. You may disagree, and that's fine, but I feel like they're a little bit small compared to the human figures in the line. Nonetheless, it is really cool to have both of these together in the same wave. Obviously, you know, they're kind of meant to go together. I was surprisingly happy with this Owen figure, and I'm especially happy with this Blue figure. So both solid efforts. I think, you know, the second wave of Amber Collection figures is certainly stronger than that initial wave was. Here's a comparison of Raptor Blue along with the JP Velociraptor from the first wave. And like I said, guys, you can certainly see the difference in the level of detail that was put into Blue compared to that first Raptor. I feel like the colors on that first Raptor were very haphazardly applied. They're not really film accurate, even though the overall essence of the JP Raptor is there. The colors just don't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it really is like a night and day difference how different these figures are. I mean, this is pretty intricately painted, pretty expertly detailed, to be honest. And then this is just like, there's no stripes on it. It's just like the colors are there, and there's very slight blending here and there, but it doesn't really do anything for me. It's wildly inaccurate to the film. It just doesn't really work. This is leaps and bounds beyond this. And if you were torn between the two, which, you know, if you're collecting this line, you're probably going to get them all. But if you're torn between, you know, just picking and choosing, you know, definitely go for Blue. That is certainly a standout. It's probably the best figure in the Amber Collection as of this point. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Mattel Jurassic World Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Overall, you guys, I am thoroughly pleased with this figure. It just really excels in so many ways compared to that first Raptor. It's leaps and bounds better. Mattel really knocked it out of the park, so to speak, for the most part. Is it perfect? No. I still have an issue with the way the teeth look. I still have an issue with how the jaw doesn't close properly and is kind of uneven. It can be a little tricky to pose, but you know, that's all part of the fun, is really dialing it into that perfect pose for your shelf or for your toy photography or what have you. The likeness here is as close to perfect, I think, as you could reasonably expect, except for the teeth, but the paint scheme on it, I mean, that is really nicely done. I am thoroughly happy with the way that she looks. Definitely the highlight of Amber Collection thus far. Just highly detailed, awesome figure. This is the one you really got to add to the collection. I mean, even if you aren't actively collecting Amber Collection, just as a one-off display piece, I think this is an awesome figure to have. So I'm going to go ahead and give the Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue a 9. All right, my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down below on the Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue. Will you be adding it to your collection? As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.